Video games are great at conveying the feeling of motion, especially speed. Whether it's pole position, Mario Kart, Burnout, or of course Sonic the Hedgehog, games have a history of pushing players faster and faster, making them feel even more exhilarating. There has been a severe dearth of true platformers in the modern gaming landscape, and those that do exist tend not to play around with velocity. Cloudbuilt, from first-time developer Coilworks, has decided to make action and speed its core tenets. It's a bold choice that ends in mixed results, but the underlying talent of this studio is evident from every single frame of this game. Before I get any deeper into this review, I want to let you know that I really wanted to love Cloudbuilt. It has a lot of the elements that I look for in an indie experience. An iconic lead character, unique and creative level design, and a gorgeously rendered, cel-shaded 3D world that I could completely lose myself in. There will be lots of gamers who view this as a welcome spiritual successor to Sonic 3D, but unfortunately, I found myself struggling to reconcile the amazing core concept of Cloudbuilt with its final execution. There are real nuggets of greatness here, but you have to look deeply for them, and you have to get past the frustrating segments of gameplay that will make you want to pull your hair out. But let's begin with the story, shall we? Obviously inspired by anime tropes and specifically Mega Man games, this game revolves around the dreams and memories of a warrior after she's been placed in the hospital due to an unforeseen accident. That's really all you need to get into the game. If you come expecting some sort of complex, weaving plotline, you're probably not going to get what you want. But, just like the games it's inspired by, it gives you just enough motivation to keep you continuing on into further levels. Players are taught everything they need to know up front. They're taught how to jump, how to wall run, how to move through these complex spaces in the most effortless way possible. Because in Cloudbuilt, you're being timed. I'm not averse to time trials in games. In fact, I tend to love them. But for some reason, there's a lot of added stress in Cloudbuilt that doesn't make it more challenging, it just makes it more annoying. Not only are you expected to get through each stage in an extremely limited amount of time, but you also have to deal with an overwhelming enemy force that's constantly trying to keep you from getting forward. You will die over and over and over again from stray bullets that you couldn't even see because you were just moving too fast. And you really do have to be as speedy as possible, not just because the game wants you to have the highest score, but because the stages are structured in a way that momentum is key to be able to get anywhere that you want to go. Luckily, your character is equipped with a pretty kick-ass jetpack that gets the job done most of the time. This single element is where a lot of the real fun from this game is derived. Flying about at maximum speed creates a raw kineticism that's really engaging and really interesting to watch. But like so many other aspects of Cloudbuilt, the jetpack tends to undercut itself. The things that make it great also make it flawed. The jetpack is supposed to act as an instrument of momentum, but because of its small fuselage, it often becomes a burden, stopping you dead in your tracks when you want to be moving at your fastest. It also tends to be imprecise and hard to control, and as such you'll constantly find yourself falling to your death. However, that's just as much a fault of the level design. Cloudbuilt should actually be celebrated because of its emphasis on freedom. Coilworks wants each player to be able to navigate every level in whatever way they see fit. There are no strict guidelines on how to succeed, only dexterity matters. Alas, player flexibility comes at the cost of direction. You never really know where you're supposed to go in Cloudbuilt. Each level is impeccably designed, but most of the complexity is completely counterintuitive. For a game about the thrill of acceleration, Cloudbuilt puts up an awful lot of barriers. I found it incredibly difficult to get a string of successes put together, but when you do hit your stride, there's a real sense of accomplishment and satisfaction. Unfortunately, I spent a lot more time falling out of the sky than I did celebrating my victories. It's important to be challenged by games. It's important for games to have a high difficulty. However, it's equally important that players be able to learn from their mistakes, adjust their strategy, and come at the game from a new way. You can play each level in Cloudbuilt over and over, and while you might learn a little bit more about its structure, success never feels like it's been spurred on by gained skills. Most of the time, it just feels like dumb luck. It certainly doesn't help that the controls are often sticky and imperfect. They also require an intense amount of multitasking, which might not suit those who are less dexterous than others. But ultimately, while Cloudbuilt displays the unlimited creativity and imagination of its developers, it suffers from a case of too much freedom, too much openness, and too much speed. Yet I'm not upset that I gave this game a chance, if only because Coilworks has set itself as a developer that I need to watch in the future. This is their first game, and I have no doubt that they'll learn from its flaws. I'm a sucker for good art design, and this game has it, and so I can't wait to see what they do next.